The view from where we sit is gorgeous, even if we don't fit inside your little portrait. The big picture is enormous, so we don't even have to fit. We after it, true purpose, yeah, we have to get. We mastered it, reporting it live from Black Pew, discussing politics, the culture, and laughing at you. Cause you don't understand the viewpoint, don't mean you up by a few points. You just ain't hip to these new joints we on. The world says to follow they pitch, we set the tone, then we knock it over the fence. Oh yes, it's gone. Them haters screaming loud from the bench. They get the bat and try to copy technique, but they miss the point that I mentioned earlier. I see that you observing the way I strangle this beat. Oh yeah, I'm a murderer. Enough of me, let's get back to this gorgeous view. I hope that you enjoyed the show. Welcome to the Black Pew.
It is. It's way too young. I feel like the news has been crazy the past couple of weeks. It's a lot of stuff going on.
Kids becoming missing, shootings, all of that.
I know that. We could go and talk about every single thing right now. Like the whole missing person thing, like how they focus on that one girl.
Yeah, right.
And there you had people who were like, hey, I think it was fair for them to be like, look, it's a lot of other people missing out here. Why don't y'all focus on other people that's missing out here as well? And I think
talking about that Gabby chick.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm like,
don't get me started on that.
Well, let's get you started, Mike. Come on, we want to hear it.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair. The criticism is fair of the media, like the news outlets, from local to the regional to the national ones, that they don't focus on the missing persons. And I heard someone's kind of like, I've heard like kind of, it's not really a both side thing. Like one person that was in the middle was like, part of it is that
she's a terrible girlfriend.
Part of it is that you like as far as like the whole like the whole issue of them covering missing cases,
because the racial thing,
white, that was a big part of it, but also with
you know what it is it's okay.
Pull that closer.
So what it is it's not the fact that she's just a white girl. It's a white girl that they felt that they could have saved. That's what the problem is.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is they felt like they could have saved her, which I still have a problem with that narrative in a sense, because I feel like if they were saving her from anything, they would be saving her from herself. She was a terrible person. The way I seen the interaction between, I watched the body cam of when Utah.
Cop, yeah.
She's not a good person. I don't condone anybody killing anybody. I don't think whatever he did was right. I honestly think it was an accident, and he's just too afraid to stand up and take charge for what he did.
Yeah.
And I still do think he was involved, but when I seen the interaction and when I heard her talking, I was like, one, she should be detained. She should be detained. She's a little too hysterical, and obviously she has a mental issue. And that was very obvious from just that interaction between her. And she said some very key things in that, of saying that this was a big thing between their relationship. So she's been treating him like this consistently for a period of time. And so when I seen that, I was like, oh, that's red flags right there. I can see them being on somewhere, on a hike or something, and her tripping and attacking him. Because if you see the body cam again, they didn't question her about having marks on her. They questioned him about the marks on his face. All that means she attacked him, and he was. So people were saying, there's witnesses saying, well, we seen him trying to, he was about to leave her, and he was getting well, yeah, I would have left her ass too. What do you mean? No, you trying to fight and everything? I ain't trying to fight you. We already know how this is going to end up. I ain't fighting you.
And my thing is why wasn't anybody detained?
I don't.
This could have been.
I believe that the only reason why they wasn't detained because they realized at first they thought that they thought that they were going to be saving a woman, And when they realized that they weren't going to be saving the woman, yet the man still wasn't hysterical, there was like, there's no reason to detain him or detain her. Just let them go on their way. Obviously, she said she was freaking out.
Yeah.
You know, so she admits to freaking out. If he doesn't want to press charges, let them go.
Yeah.
You know, and that's pretty much what it left as. But to me, I just don't like when you see these situations. I think a lot of people should just shut up. Just shut up. Like, let the things happen, whatever happens. Let the rescue people find her. Let whatever's going on, let the investigation go on. Media, shut up. Family, shut up. Because in reality, you're going to lie about everything. You're going to paint this picture of this person that's really not true. That's why I hate going to funerals. You know, especially like cats that die in the streets. You know, bro, I'm with you. We knew it was inevitable. Eventually, you was going to die this way. I want to come to your funeral and say, you know, he was such an honorable person. No, he was not. Right. I know him. Like, let's be real. Let's just say we didn't want to see him go too soon. Wish he could have got a chance to change his life around before this change. Like, let's start being honest about shit like this. Like, I don't like it, but that's my take on it. I don't believe that she should have died. And
I think that's what nobody wants.
Yeah, that's my thing. I'm not victim blaming to the point where I believe she should be dead, but I can see it happening. Like, everybody has a breaking point, and she obviously she has a history of pushing this man.
Mm-hmm.
She said it herself.
Yeah, and then the whole thing about the media was like they were like, people were like, you have all these missing cases. And of the people who have color, and you guys don't report it the same way, and it's like
they don't show media the same way. They don't cover it. You know, they don't report it the same way or execute it the same way that they would for Caucasian people, child or adult, to African Americans or Black Americans.
Yeah, because if it's because there's a white woman, she is somebody told me the other day, I read it just recently, that they are upheld as to be saved. So of course the media is going to see that person. They're like, oh, like you said, that they could try to save her. Hey, she's somewhere, we have to find her, let's broadcast it out. And they don't do that for everybody. But they do that for a lot more than they do for. They do a lot more for white people. Control. Yeah, they do. We could have prevented this. Yeah. Yet we let this go, and that's what you start to look at. That's why things like this come out, like the body cam, so people can see the interaction between. Because that's all you have to go off of. Right. Like, what was the last interaction that anybody seen that these two people had? Right. Would they have really let that out on the media? If they weren't trying to do damage control? No, probably not. Because at the same time, you got a young college student, Jelani Day. He had been missing the whole time, young black man. They just found his body 2 days ago and identified him. Nobody's talking about this. Nobody. But he's a college student. We're talking about a very, we're not talking about somebody in a fight or, in the streets or a young man going to school, go missing. Nobody's talking about it. It's not headline news. Yeah, we're looking for some white blind chick that was fighting with her boyfriend, and the only reason that they're mad is because they had police contact and police didn't intervene. Right. Or the young lady in Kent that's been missing for over a year. See, that's the
little girl.
Yeah, Asia.
And I was talking with someone, and we were just saying how would you how do you go about your regular day if you have somebody in your family missing? Like, what do you do? Like, if you have somebody who's been missing a year, 3 years, because a lot of these people.
Oh, I'm turning into America's Most Wanted. My America's Most. I'm quitting my job, but everything. I'm dedicating my life to trying to find this person.
How long are you gonna? How long are you gonna do that
to get some closure?
To get closure.
Because I think that's what happens is that when people don't get closure, like you get this void. Like the closure doesn't fix everything, but it fills this to avoid.
Yeah.
At least you can sleep at night knowing
There's a period.
what happened.
Right.
You know, you may not agree with what happened, but you know, going to sleep and with the possibility that somebody may still be out there. You know, and you have to live with that.
And you're sitting there sleeping, right?
Yeah. Some people live with this for 10 years.
That's what I was
years.
talking with someone. I was just like, how do these parents whose kids have been missing for 10, 15 years, like how do you go about your day and you thinking like, hey, they could have grown up. That could be them right there. They could be in the
That's the only thing that keeps you alive.
Yeah.
Right.
Like knowing that the possibility is there, that's the only thing that keep you alive. Like that's what I think that. And honestly, and I can't speak for somebody like that because I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would say from what I've seen when I've seen these situations and like you see these families on the news, you realize that time has stopped.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're stuck right there at the day that person went missing, and they cannot get past that.
Right.
And they're never going to be able to get past that until they get some type of closure. And then life continues to go on. But I think it's hard to tell somebody like that to move on.
Yeah.
With like, no information to go off of.
Yeah. The police. I mean, I would feel hard to be a cop on that case. You're like, hey, all the leaves and dried up. I mean, you probably would turn like you said, like you would turn into Columbo or somebody. Like, I have to find.
You know how many open cases there are?
I know, just the sheer fact of like, they say what is it, 72 hours?
But that's the thing though. We talk about this. You can talk about this on so many different platforms. You talk about this on school. You talk about this. If somebody in your family goes missing, you have that one person to worry about. They can only dedicate so much time to this case because they have to move on to the next one.
Yep.
And so that's and so that's why you have somebody like, what's your name, David, whatever his name is from. Washington's Most Wanted, who used to do America's Most Wanted.
Dave Walsh. John Walsh.
He was like, I'm finna dedicate my life to this because
he really did.
Because they can't dedicate their life to that. He finally got the results that he wanted.
Yep.
And it took him years, decade. Like over that, like right?
Yeah, it was at least two.
Who
it was like two and a half. Yeah, it was like 2 and a half.
For who?
For him to find out what happened to his daughter.
Yeah.
His daughter is at the. I thought you were talking about the little boy in Bellevue.
No, so the reason he started all this was because his daughter went missing.
Okay.
And without a trace. And so he, on his search to find out what happened to his daughter, he eventually started America's Most Wanted, which is now Washington's Most Wanted, but he started this pretty much hunt. Yeah. And throughout the hunt, it became like, he solved all these other things for other people.
At the same time, okay.
But his goal was finding out what happened with his daughter, and it took him 20, 25 years to find out what happened with his daughter. But he dedicated his life to that. Right. And police can't really dedicate their lives to your specific case. They can dedicate a portion of their time. Yeah. And that's all we can get from them. And usually after 48 to 72 hours, that case kind of goes cold, and they got to go on to the next one. And that's why I feel like a person, if you're not dedicating your life to figuring out, you're not real. I mean, there's avenues that it goes through. They hit a cold case, or maybe they hit major crimes, and they hit these trails, and each division gets their time to get a crack at it. But it just don't happen like that. So more times than not, people will go missing. Yeah. There's probably more missing people that we know nothing about than the ones that we find. Right. And there's probably some people that we stand next to on a day-to-day basis that were probably kidnapped from an incubator or at birth or, at a school or whatever, young park. And somebody changed all the paperwork and they grew up not knowing nothing different than somebody else's, their mama or their daddy, so we find that all the time. And real quick to end it, I was seeing a story not too long ago. In Spain, they had a a incidence of a family to where this grown lady eventually found out that the person who was her father was not her father because they got into a family dispute. Took a DNA test and found out that the hospital accidentally switched babies at birth 20-something years ago.
Yeah.
And so both of these children were raised by people that weren't their biological parents, and the parents didn't know nothing other until this dispute happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if a baby's a baby.
Right.
Most time, unless you got a black and white baby, pretty much a baby's a baby until they grow up. Like,
I didn't know that's actually happened in real life. I mean, I've watched movies on that, but
this came out maybe a month ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it happened a lot more.
I couldn't imagine that being my life. Like,
yeah. I know. Well, I know that's the crazy thing. Like, can you be mad at 20 years later? Can you be mad at the hospital? Can you be mad
yeah, absolutely.
But you can't really.
You can't be mad at the parent.
Chalked it up to human error.
Yeah, and it's like they can't sue.
No, you can't sue, but I'm saying you can still be mad at them. Like, you messed up big time. Whether you can't sue or anything like that, it's still an error. Like, you can't be mad at the parents or anything. They did obviously what they would normally do, but now you gotta.
I'd be mad if I was raised in a poor family and the other family.
Yeah, if you was raised by a poor family and then you found out the family that your family is rich.
You're right.
You're like, man, I've been struggling all these years.
And
you feel like people who were a champion when they was kids. You feel me? I was getting ridiculed.
Right.
Wearing champion, all this shit. Now champion's cool.
Right. Exactly.
That would be like, no. Like, I don't. The one of the rich kid, like, realizing they really from a poor family, like,
yeah, how are you about to go back to that lifestyle?
One day you wake up and you be like, bring my escargot. I'm sorry, but I do not work for you anymore.
Right.
Actually, you're a peasant.
I know, right? Take your belongings. You live there now. Like, that'd be hard. That would be hilarious.
That's not funny. That is terrible.
That actually makes me really curious to see how that ended up. I'm gonna look more into it later.
Well, look, keep us posted on that because I want to know too.
I don't know if I can hear myself. Can you hear me? No.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, you can.
Yeah,
I don't see it registering.
I can hear you though.
Maybe I'm just all Akumo D today.
Yeah.
But anyway, speaking of missing people, did you hear about what happened with Kelly Price?
Yeah.
Speaking of missing people, Kelly Price
she was not
considered.
Missing.
She's considered.
She
was
missing.
considered missing.
But she wasn't missing.
But her family's like, they lying. Yes. Her manager put up a press release saying she's fine. She's in an undisclosed location battling COVID. And then the family's like,
well, she wasn't battling COVID. She was released from the hospital from battling COVID. But what they were saying is that she just wanted some alone time, pretty much. And if that's true, there ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, true.
There ain't nothing wrong with somebody saying, I done known you. She's 48 years old. I done known y'all for 48 years. If I wanted 3 days to myself, what's the problem? You feel me? Like, who cares? You feel me? But yeah, no, they found her. I was actually surprised when I seen that too.
So she was never really missing anything.
She was never really missing.
Here we are with that.
To what we know now.
But
she hasn't publicly said anything. Her people have said anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a PR release saying she's fine. She just wanted time to herself. Yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, until she actually speaks out.
They gave more media to that than the kids that are actually missing.
But I think it's like Marv was saying. I think at a certain with kids, you can, like you said, you can only dedicate so much time.
About ratings.
Right?
I
know, but
you've got to sell ads.
Most people have a tie.
Right, but you got to think about morals and values too. Like,
but they don't pay the bills.
I mean, I'm just saying, for me, I get it, but I'm saying but if I told myself,
you, if I told you, all right, put it this way. If I told you,
I couldn't be in that line of work.
If I told you, all right, one day this black kid just didn't show up at home. Mm-hmm. Is that but then I told you this white guy and this white girl, they go on a hiking trip. Mm-hmm. And he comes back from the hiking trip and she don't. Mm-hmm. That already, those two storylines right there, the second one already sells more tickets.
Right.
So boom, we're going to go with that. Yeah. Oh, Grammy-nominated singer, Oscar-nominated singer or whatever, Emmy-nominated singer.
Just come up missing.
Just comes up missing.
Right.
And
because they're trying to find what is going to connect with people to watch us.
Right.
And that's the problem with media and the problems that we have in that's really
society,
going on.
Right.
Because we've gotten to the point to where we wanted the news.
Yeah.
We wanted to know what was going on.
Yeah.
But for them, they were like, well, what's going to get us to watch our news station versus their news station?
Yeah.
So now it became the battle of who has the best news.
Right.
And so a lot of things get filtered out. And, so yeah. Your kid didn't come home last night. Oh, well, we don't want to cover that.
Because nobody knows about your kid.
Call us in 48 hours when he doesn't come home, because then maybe you got something there.
Right.
And then
I think with kids, though, it's actually 24 hours. With adults, that is longer.
And then the weather, I watch this.
Police.
The weather, it was crazy, and it caused the flood. Also, there's an apartment building that has a structure that might collapse. See right there, there's 4 stories that push that story down the list right there. Just in us talking.
The structure thing is because you had the old thing in Miami or Florida or whatever that fell.
Yeah.
So now it was like, oh well, we didn't save those people, so now we're high alert.
Right.
I'm just saying, like, as far as stories go, when they get pitched, this story, man, that little kid, that we're gonna push it down. That little kid get push it down, and that's the next thing you know, it's like a footnote, and you can't really get I
don't even think they're bringing them to the table, to tell you the truth.
No, that's true too, and I think
not as much as they should. That's the news.
If the news wasn't monetized, if it was like if they didn't have to sell ads, and they didn't have to pay people's salaries, these people's salaries are already paid, and the cost to put on the news was already paid, it would be 100%. It would be different, because then they could cover all the little stories. If they just had to fill a 24-hour slot,
it's our fault.
And we've made it more monetized, because they say, hey,
we don't.
This is what the people want.
We don't
so
tell
let's
them
give
what
what
we
they
want to see. We just watch the news.
Yeah.
We don't. So we turn it on, expecting them to tell us what's going on in the world. We don't tell them what type of news we want to hear.
But they record those readings as far as how many people are viewing at this time and that time.
Of course, but
so
we're
on.
always going to be watching, because we always want to know what's going on, because if you're not watching the news, you don't know what's going on.
Yep.
So
or social media of some kind or something.
They've gotten into that too.
But at the same time, you're going to believe anything that you see over the news outlets versus social media, because social media has taken a big hit in the past 5 years for the validity and the truthfulness that you're going to get from there.
That's true.
So people got their CNNs and their Fox News and their ABC News and Good Morning Americas and all that, and they're looking at all that to get all the content that they need to go out, the information that they need to go out in the world or to know what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, CNN's saying, well, what's going to make people watch us more than they're going to watch Fox News and ABC and all that? So they're looking for certain stories. But instead of us saying, hey, what about this is going on right now? We need to talk about this, and us putting more pressure on them to talk about other things. We're not doing that. It's like, and I want to just start off saying, prayers off to those people who, in the La Familia situation and all that, but those I struggle with those situations, because there's a type of lifestyle in the black community that we glorify that we should not be glorifying. Because if we didn't glorify it, niggas wouldn't be in a bar fighting over 2 shots of tequila and that turning into a shootout in a parking lot where innocent people are getting killed or getting shot. But because we make people, because we, the music we listen to and all that, it tells us that popping bottles and getting shots at the bar is what life is like, and all that. And if you're not living like this, you ain't living. And if you got a problem with somebody, then you shoot them, you feel me, or you just shoot to the clip is empty. Like, we are not doing our jobs on these platforms of like telling people this is how we should be carrying ourselves and this is what we should be digesting when it comes to the food we intake, when it comes to what we're hearing across media waves or whatever it be. We're just letting people do however they feel and saying, well, they're grown, you know, but we're also raising them up to be these dysfunctional adults as well.
Yeah.
You know, so like I don't know. I woke up maybe this morning with my heart a little bit more heavy because I'm just like we're failing, and all not just black people, just like humanity.
Yeah,
just like on all edges. It's just like we think we're doing something because some people pass some little shitty pieces of paper, you know, but we're not doing a damn thing. We're falling hugely short of where we should be at.
I agree.
True. One good thing is though, they finished the recount in Arizona.
Oh, did they now?
Trump lost, right?
The cyber ninjas finished the recount, and they were saying they were going to find all these things and all this stuff. All that, and what they found was that Trump did still lose, but he lost by even more. They found more errors in the votes and
on his side.
On his side,
yeah.
And the fact that
tried to cheat Trump.
It was the fact that at one point you had the Arizona Democrats and the Arizona Republicans saying they shouldn't be doing this. This recount is stupid, made it even more crazy. But the recount brings up an honest point. It's like, at what point do elected officials just want something to happen versus something that needs to happen? Because they had already done 2 other recounts.
Oh, really? In Arizona?
In Arizona. They had already done 2 recounts.
And nothing changed, but this third recount,
it's
now
changed. It just got better for Biden, worse for Trump.
Yeah, and then Texas just said, but it that's the same. That the thing is like, how many recounts do you have to do before someone, like, because all this time, like just the California one, they recalled and they lost. They spent $270 million on that recall.
That's ridiculous. And not even just how many times you have to do that, but why are you spending all this money and time to redo it now that they have the facts?
That he won, man.
Right.
Yeah.
No. That's exactly what I'm saying.
This dude,
yeah.
This dude is the guru of politics. I'm gonna tell you right now, he's the guru. Because right now, what he is, he's on a sympathy tour. That's all it is.
Yeah.
He's going to show.
Sympathy tour. I like that.
I should have won in Arizona, and I should have won in Texas, and I should have won in California. And he's going to do all this, and they stole the election from me, and all that.
But now what though? I mean, are all these officials going to get reprimanded for? And how are they going to even figure that out since they knew that he got more then and less now with the recount? So who messed up? Who did what?
No, it ain't nothing. It's just not no. It's
nobody's in trouble. Nobody's
gonna get in trouble.
But that's
it's just what's going to happen now.
That's a problem.
I mean, not really. Pretty much, it's minor things. It could be the computer reading a vote wrong or whatever. It could be the bubble wasn't dark enough. It could be little things like that. It wouldn't necessarily.
It wasn't a swing enough. Like it was like it's in the margin of error. Like
it's not necessarily saying like super fraudulent things were happening to swing it. Minor errors, human errors, computer errors, stuff like that, and probably a few fraudulent votes here and there because it happens every election.
That's different though. That's just again computer error or whatever. This obviously seems like this was purposeful. Somebody was trying to put more votes in for him. Now, who did it?
Well, I don't. Well, of course, they've been trying to. Well, I don't think that's what they're trying to do right now. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to trying to regather his base, and he's trying to, and that's what the sympathy part is for. He wants to keep it on people's mind that the election was stolen from him.
Yep.
So if he continues to contest these, people are conspiracy theorists already.
Right.
They may say they never got it back, but they still may believe that he got that, which means that the next election cycle, he believes that they'll come out even stronger.
Well, and actually in Georgia, he just endorsed.
Who? Trump?
Trump endorsed.
He's moving.
He endorsed Stacey Abrams. You can see anybody can endorse anybody.
For him to try to go and be president again.
This is for Georgia.
He can?
He's still running it. This is for Georgia for the governor, because he's upset at Governor Kemp for certifying the election results that were recounted and confirmed back when he lost. So he's now saying, well, she might do a better job than the dude who's in there, and it's a game that he's playing. He's right. If you got these supporters and you're licking your wounds and you're saying, man, I lost, but I didn't really lose. So next time, let's get these people out that we're helping now, that will help later. Yeah, that weren't on our side.
These guys think it was their patriotic duty to rush the Capitol.
Yep. Then
these are the same people we talking about.
He's got people, and he might not win a re-election, but the fact that there are still people. That's where I want you to. I don't want people to come in there with the arrogance that he won't. I'm gonna tell you right now. See, the thing is as much as people think that Joe's doing good, he's taking a lot of backlash right now. Think about it. It's only narrowed down to so many people. Yeah,
so many people.
Yeah.
Kamala's not getting. Kamala doesn't have a great approval rating. Neither does Joe Biden.
Yeah.
So now people are looking at it. So what have the Democrats done for us lately?
Yeah, and they don't have the voting rights.
Trump sounded like an idiot, but when it came to putting pen to paper, there was some things that he did that Americans felt like they benefited from in his administration,
even though they didn't.
So what I'm saying is, he is the magician of it all. He can make the people who've been doing this for years look like they don't know what the hell they doing, even though he get in there and don't know what the hell he doing.
Yeah.
But he's flipped politics on his back. And so what we used to know as politics is no longer what it is. The way Joe Biden is moving is the way politics used to be.
Yeah.
And it's progressed past that.
Right.
And Donald Trump has shown us that.
It's hard. It's like going back. It's like going back from a motorcycle that you don't know how to control to a bicycle that might have a little ringer on it, might till a 10 speed. That's boring. And it's like this. It's slow motion, and it's dependable.
Go from Marv's van to a Tesla,
but a Tesla that can't charge well.
Yeah, and that's automatic.
And that people want to go back to that, but at the same time, you can't, because of the person Trump was, and also the supporters now. You ever seen somebody? They have to, like, you ever had a friend or something, they believe something and they know it's wrong, but they had to follow it through. You've got a lot of Trump supporters who, some have turned their back on him, but some have kind of not turned their back. They might have turned their head, but they're still coming back. And you got people who will say, well, Joe tripped that one time, so he's not fit to be president.
Yeah.
Or he's like in the basketball game analogy, they had 3 turnovers. We can't have a Trump could say in a speech, we can't have an administration that has faults, even though he's got a laundry list of faults. And people are like, yeah, because the ones they see are not the ones they're looking at. Like the 3 they see they don't care about the 20 in 2016, 2017, 2018. They don't care about that. That's history. They've shown that they don't care about history to a certain extent. Now Biden's got a lot of missteps this first year, and Kamala. I don't think Kamala will ever be. I think
she's never going to be president.
I don't think she'll ever be president. And I don't think she would run. I don't think she would run again. I don't think she would run. Yeah, I don't think she would.
The way that she's been taking backlash, I think she knows that she's made it as far as she's gonna make it.
Yep.
And that's that. And you know what? Hey,
we won't never know until the election.
Her approval ratings are so bad as a VP,
and she don't have to have really done nothing much.
No, she hasn't really done anything, and that's the problem. Is that her approval ratings are so bad without her. Like people don't like her.
Some people are 6 men for a reason.
Yeah.
Some people come off the bench and that their careers to come off the bench and. They are fine, and I don't think it has people try to tie it to her being a woman. It's not that. It's that she has some gaps. She has some.
I realize what it is. Republicans have a men's state of mind, and Democrats have a woman's state of mind. And because I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was trying to help them understand. I was like, the difference between men and women and how they think. You know, women think off of feelings and emotions. If anything that they do is based off of how they feel right then, everything that they do is based off of how they feel about how they approach things, how I feel about it. How they back off, how I feel about it. Everything. Men, we try to plan it out. You know, strategically, attack everything that we do. So if you look at every presidential election, Republicans, they are strategic on how they attack. They attack policy. Democrats, every single time, they don't attack policy. They attack the hearts of America. So they attack how people feel. So if you think about it, Obama, black, change the dynamic of everything. Oh, let's capture the emotion of America. Didn't nobody know one policy on Obama at all. I didn't even know what policy was. I was like, what? I remember when somebody told me a black dude was running. I was like, what? Y'all niggas is lying. It was like, yeah, no, for real. And I was like, I first seen him, I was like, nah, he ain't black. And they told me his name. I was like, oh, yeah, I guess he is black. And I was like, shit, I'm with him just because of that. I see my grandfather cry first time ever, and he was 93. I was like, dang. I was like, why? I thought I'd never live to see this day. Right. I'm like, I get it. You feel me? But I mean, you couldn't tell me what Obama did in the 8 years. Could not tell me. I don't know. I didn't pay that close attention. I was just glad a nigga was in the White House.
It was the bite. It was the bite.
It was. And then right after it was over, guess who came up in office? Trump. And they were strategic because he talked all that little hoopla, all that rhetoric. You feel me? Talked all that racist stuff about Obama, everything. Guess what? The country loved it because they put him in office. Yeah. And guess what? After everybody found out he's not fit to be president, what they do? They got us Joe. And they said, guess what? Joe know Obama. Yeah. And everybody's like, well, yeah, Joe did know Obama. You feel me? And we had all the Me Too stuff going on. All the Me Too, everything. So what you gonna do, Joe? What you gonna do, Joe? I'm gonna get a woman. I'm gonna just get a woman. She'll come with me. And that's why he's in the office right now. It has nothing to do with policy. It has nothing to do with. It has to do with Joe knows Obama, and everybody was happy when Obama. Because one thing that Obama did do, I couldn't tell you what he did policy wise, but I can tell you, anytime we had a national tragedy, Obama was the best president when it came to unifying the country.
He was a father. He put that father role like to a T.
I'll tell you right now. School shootings.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
The world could be burning down,
and then Obama
would make you feel good about it. You'd be like, you know what? Everything outside is burning, but Obama talking is just making me. It's like the Morgan Freeman of presidents. You feel me?
And it was that draw that he had. It was that
charismatic.
And it was like I think part of it was genuine, and part of it was like, hey, what works? Yeah, like
very genuine.
Yes, but he's also very intelligent through his conversation of things. It wasn't like a written out plan that most presidents
well,
see that it was him saying it.
It changed, and I think that's what changed. because when he was reading speeches and he was doing all that, it didn't seem genuine, and I think they knew it because he was like, and he would more and he would do that.
Yep.
And so I think that became a little bit so they had to capture who he was, and he was one of those dudes that everybody felt like they knew Obama. I don't care what it is. I ain't never met the man. I ain't never seen him a day in my life. I feel like I know that.
You done met 4 Obamas.
You know what? Honestly, I don't think that was other people saying that. I think that was something he said. What? That he was bringing up, that he didn't want to just be reading from a
well, no, people were talking about it.
Thing.
I think
because at first he was more professorial, like or like pastoral, almost like his like when he was orate. You could tell, like you were saying, it was
robotic.
It was a little bit robotic. It was like, and all like at a certain point,
everybody can notice that.
I can agree with you. It probably was more of his idea to be more genuine. But I only reason I believe that they did make that change was because everybody was talking about it. And like, it's going to be hard for him to become president if he cannot drop this.
Yep.
And so that's why I believe they shifted to the more genuine style of Obama, to where everybody was like, you know what? I know a dude like that.
Yeah.
Because that's what he felt like. It felt like
they needed to feel like they related.
When we put him in office, it felt like we put somebody we knew in office.
Yeah.
Like, this dude connected with us before the inauguration. We had all connected with him.
Yep.
And so that 8 years was probably like, that's probably going to go down as like the best 8 years America's ever had. You know, people felt good about each other. We were like, you look at now, it was different then. Like, we were nice to each other. We tolerated each other. It felt like America was striving, and then
Trump got in.
Yeah.
And now everybody hates
you know what? I hate you. F you. You know what? Well, and it wasn't
Proud
even,
Boy flags everywhere.
It wasn't even like a white-black thing, really. That came up a little bit. But I'm talking about during Obama.
Okay.
But once Trump came, it was like,
full-fledged.
This, N-word, that. You feel me?
Full-fledged.
All that. And me too, was at the beginning of his presidency, and it didn't take heed till he became president.
Yeah, I think it was like, hey, we got a dude in the office who's the worst, but we can't really get him, so let's get everybody.
He got us liking George Bush. The second George Bush. He got us liking the second George Bush. Before that, George Bush was the worst president in history.
Right.
Nobody, and he held office for 8 years.
And
he was the worst president in history.
Yeah.
And we hated George Bush.
Until
and
Trump.
Now we are like, 9/11, it was like, oh my God. Everybody's like, oh my God, the speech that George Bush just gave. Because of a Donald Trump, we care about stuff like that from George Bush. When him and Michelle had their little thing, we was like, oh, snap, George.
Every single time.
You know what that was about? That was during when? The inauguration of Donald Trump.
Yep.
So we wasn't even focused on Trump no more. It was like, why is he even up there? We looking for stuff. It was like, where's Waldo? We looking for stuff in the crowd to entertain us. Like, man.
Yeah, because Donald Trump made us love, like you said, Donald Trump made us love Bush and embrace the oldness, like the awe of Bush, even though he's had so much in like Iraq, Afghanistan, Guantanamo Bay, all that stuff. But when we see him and Michelle,
right?
Well, I think it was more of a it was a race thing. I think at first people used to think, well, shit, Bush hate niggas. You used to think that. And then after Trump, you like, well, maybe he don't hate niggas. Maybe he's just from Texas. You know, he from the South. He from a little country. You feel me? Like, maybe he just don't, you know. Like,
maybe he just didn't mess with them Louisiana niggas.
You know, like
everybody
else.
Because he had Colin Powell, and it's like he was.
Trump don't like niggas.
Trump,
yeah. I was gonna say, or the uneducated ones. Huh?
Well, I think with
I'm talking about Bush.
No, I was just talking about Trump.
I think with Trump,
racist thing is fake. I just think he just did that because he knew that was going to help him win. It's like us being black. You know which one of your black friends don't like Chinese people. You know which one of your black friends don't like Filipino people. You know which one of your black friends don't like Mexican people. And they're going to say the most racist things about those type of people. So white people know which groups that people don't like.
Yeah.
And obviously everybody in America has disavowed the white supremacist group. Now, behind closed doors, however they get down with them is how they get down with them. But on the forefront, nobody acknowledges them.
Yep.
But he was one of the first in a long time to step out and be like, hey, and it took him a long time to disavow people like David Duke and Cass. He was holding on to it as long as he could. I don't know who David Duke. I don't know who David Duke is. Man, I know who David Duke is.
And I think you're right in that it took him a while to disavow people, and it was almost like he embraced the people on the fringes because he knew, even though they're on the fringe, there were people who liked some of what the fringe said, and let's say he
raised classism between white folks.
Yeah, and even it was, even though the fact that he did stuff for rich people, he did more for rich people than he did for everything else. He made it seem like
he wanted to help everybody.
He wanted to help Joe Blow in rural America.
One tooth Billy Bob was out there with my man in the three-piece suit.
That's not with the progressive. That's not progressive anything. That wants stuff to be how it used to be, and that wants people to stay in the place that they used to be in. And so, but he knew that little one-tooth Billy Bob also had a cousin or a niece or nieces or nephews or kids that might be living in the city that kind of had those same views, or like their views weren't moderate, but they were just on the edge. So he was like, let me just slip a little bit in.
Let's see about this right here. See how it happened.
He did. I'm going to tell you, I seen it. What he did was he went to rural areas. He went to places where people build cars and were farmers. Because the thing is where he already had Wall Street in the bag because he's a businessman. So he already knew they knew he was going to be at his best interest.
Right.
See, where he wanted to go is where people don't go. And so that's where he focused on those white folks that run them farms, that stay in the trailers, that the ones
to the diner.
He went to those type of places, and those are the places that he went and he spoke. And those are the people that you see. When you look at January 6th, we look at January 6th, those are the people that you see. You don't see a lot of the suit and tie type of cats.
Right.
They were outside. And that's where he was good, because these suit and ties cats, they was outside with him until they got to that certain point. And suit and ties like, hey, reputation, too much. I ain't going to come in. Guess what? Think the same way y'all think, but I ain't going inside. You feel me? And that's what that happened. You had a few of them sprinkle in because they got a little bit almighty, but whatever. But most of the Billy Bobs and all them was in there, and that's who he immobilized, and that's why that happened. Something that we probably never seen before, because the people that we had never seen before were involved now in politics, because they were usually off the grid. They didn't want to be bothered. And as long as you didn't bother them, they didn't care what your politics did. But now they felt like they had a dude that, would be at their best interest, that would create things to be in their best interest, that would look at them so now they can get resources and things of that nature, which in reality, he didn't even look out for them.
No, he didn't.
But because we are more...
You made it seem like...
We're more like hookers or sheeps or whatever we like to be led more than lead. And so whenever somebody comes and can speak to what we believe in or appeal to our nature, we tend to just go down the rabbit hole with them. Like I said, Obama. Nobody knew what Obama's policies was, but we all felt like, we all felt like we knew him.
And that he had our best interests at heart. I think that's what it really came down to after all.
Hey, guess what? I'll tell you right now. There's prostitutes out there that feel like they got the best interest.
Yeah, right.
I'm just saying. Let's be real. That's the game.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If you can appeal to a certain interest, people will follow you down a rabbit hole, and Obama could have been sending us to world destruction. We wouldn't have cared because we loved him from who he presented himself to us as. So that's what Donald Trump was. People just seen him, they loved him because he said the things that they wanted to say, but they felt that they would get in trouble for saying. People were surprised that he wasn't getting in trouble for some of the things he was saying and doing. But that's just what it was, because it was so much of a groundswell behind him that you could not get him. You couldn't penalize him. You couldn't give him any consequences for that. He's faced no consequences for anything that he's done.
Yep.
Right.
He's been twice impeached, and it's
Yep. And it's a lot of stuff like it's a lot of stuff that you can't really go to jail for. So they're not. He's fine. Like if you got enough lawyers, you won't see anything. You won't see a court. You won't see.
He's been brought to court.
You won't see a
several
judge.
times.
But at the same time, he hasn't been to court.
Not technically, but he has a lot of court cases that ain't going nowhere.
But that's the thing. That's exactly what he's saying. Yeah, you could take him to court. You could petition.
Yeah.
To see him in court,
and then get buried.
The amount of money that they got and the way he's finessed, because the campaign that he just ran, he could keep, I believe, 75% of that money to do whatever he wants to do with it.
And he was tricking people in the campaign money. And he did two things.
After the election was over,
as long as you pay your costs,
he was still collecting funds for his campaign.
He was collecting funds for the recall. And he was in the fine line, the fine print. It said up to $5,000 of your donation can go to the general election fund of
only up to?
No, up to. That means
the maximum, right?
No. That means they could use $5,000 of yours, like just the $5,000 to put it towards something else. Not even the recall. Not even the recall. So they can say, hey, I'm gonna fix your car. But I need
the recall. The recall has to do with the campaign.
Yeah.
Right.
So all the money he can do, he could put all the money in the recall, and that wouldn't be a thing. But what they were saying was, as long as there's a recall,
he can use some of that money to something.
So
else.
what he was doing was continue to gain funds to be able to fight the recall, but then he could also gain funds for his personal use as well.
So it was like if you gave $6,000, $999 of it was going to go to the recall effort, but $5,000 was going to go for me and what we got going on, and including
he's so grimy.
And that,
grimy.
But that's the thing.
That's how he's always ran.
That's
business.
the thing. That's what he's always ran business, and that he shed a light on that stuff. That's what people, Democrats and Republicans, were doing it forever. But it's kind of like a cheat code.
Well,
he exposed some things that people were like, dang,
this is what Donald Trump did. Oh my God, I got the dopest analogy right now. So Donald Trump, this is what he did. All right, so it's like video games. We'll say video games, right? Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or whatever. Donald Trump knows the person who made Street Fighter. You feel me? Used to probably go to his house all the time while they was making Street Fighter. He knows how Street Fighter was made. He knows everything that went in the Street Fighter. He knows all the moves. Mm-hmm. He ain't really played it like that because it's not that big of a deal to him because he knows the person who made Street Fighter. But everybody talking about Street Fighter, so he's like, you know what? Oh, y'all think y'all good at Street Fighter? I actually know more than Street Fighter than you know about Street Fighter. Oh, you don't think all right, I'm finna show you. Because if you think about it, he played the politician game crazier than anybody's ever played it, and has probably been the most successful at doing it. The way he knew how to do all that is because what people don't understand is he's been a donor for decades. He knows the game of how to do it.
I'm gonna sit in the corner and do fireballs.
He's been sitting on the house, so
I'm gonna sit in the corner and do fireballs until you lose. Mm-hmm. And like you said with
these Hadoukens.
Yep, with the election, you're right. He went to them diners and stuff like that where Hillary wasn't going, and Hillary wasn't going because Hillary won thought she had more people behind her, and then they were going for the people that had become elites, as far as like the liberal elites and people who had like the more educated ones. People were like, why would you go for some dummy that's just going to sit in the corner and throw fireballs? I'm gonna sit up here. I'm gonna be this other character in the video game, and not knowing that those fireballs, if you're not careful, you're not blocking, you're not doing what you got to do, you're going to lose the game. And
Hillary's first mistake was she thought because she had a vagina that she was going to get women. That was one of her first mistakes. She thought just because she had a vagina she was going to get women. That's one. You're dressed like a dyke, so I don't know if everybody's going to follow you.
It's a cold hit.
It's the truth. I'm just saying. Like, I mean, nobody wears me pantsuits as she did. So I'm just saying, you know, let's be real. Okay?
Pantsuits.
That's all she wears, pantsuits. I ain't seen her wear a dress since Clinton's first term. Like, I mean, since then she just been pantsuit up. Like, that's it. And so they say she dressed like a female real estate agent. That's the call. But even then, that's her first mistake. Her second mistake was thinking just because you are Bill Clinton's wife, that we was gonna love you. No, guess what? You know why we don't love you is because Bill Clinton got his dick sucked in the office and you didn't do not a damn thing. So there's not one black woman in the black community that respects you because you ain't even confronted. You didn't even come out and say, you know what? What Bill did is unacceptable. You know what? Whatever come to Bill, he deserved. That's what we wanted to hear from you. We wanted to hear a little bit of it. We wanted to hear that you was upset. You didn't show, oh, well, you know, he did. Oh, whatever. You didn't show that you was devastated at all. You just, oh, well, I want to be senator. And you felt like you made it feel like that was your trade-off. He got his dick sucked in the oval. Now you became senator.
Bill Clinton,
like, okay. Oh, come
Bill
on,
Clinton
man.
smoked weed.
Like that was the trade-off.
Bill Clinton smoked weed and played the saxophone, and black people to this day still think that he's black.
Yeah, we love him. Little Rock, Arkansas. We rock with you, Bill.
How many people, black, white, or other, would have felt like Hillary if she had popped off?
Do you know where Hillary was born at?
I do.
Just like that. Because, see, I know Bill Clinton's born in Little Rock, Arkansas, just because of what you said. Because he plays saxophone and he smoked weed. Yeah. I know that much already. Off the top of my head. Bam. You can't tell me where Hillary Rodham Clinton
I think she's from, like, New York. But you're right. She was not raised in Arkansas.
No. She was actually raised Republican.
Yep, she was. Yep. And she was not. But she fell in love with Bill.
Yes.
She fell in love with Bill. But that's why we fell in love with Bill. Even though some of his policies were the worst ones that have affected us.
The crime bill was terrible.
But if you take him on his word, you would still give him a hug if you saw him.
Hell yeah.
Be like, Bill,
hit this weed, Bill.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
But if Hillary had, I never thought about that. But you're right. Is that if she had popped off, if she had gotten mad, if she had made some type of display or some type of speech saying, hey,
not a display, because that's what they expect from women.
We wanted to know she was human.
Yeah, we wanted to know. That's
but she could have announced and said
she
something.
Changed. She used to be human. Like,
when
if you go back and watch when he first got elected and see that Hillary Clinton,
right?
She was. I'm not saying that she should have been. She should have been like compartmentalized and feminized and stayed into a box, because she did evolve what First Lady looks like from Laura Bush.
Has. That's exactly what I was going to just say.
She's evolved.
She had to adjust to
between her
new position.
Her and the Bushes, you know, but she really gave First Lady a voice.
Yeah.
And we'll say Hillary really gave First Lady a voice. But through her husband's infidelities, we wanted to know, like, we wanted to know that power wasn't the only thing that you cared about, Hillary.
Right.
You know, because if anybody watched Scandal, it was the same thing. Like, the husband was the president, but the wife had this. She was like valedictorian in law school, and she had this strong background. It was like, I gave away my career for this. So that's why I say the senator was the trade-off. which is funny because in there he had infidelities, and the trade-off became he endorsed his wife as a senator, to which she eventually ended up becoming a president. That was the storyline for there because they played off of real life, you know. And they took some creative content to make her president because Hillary wasn't president. But at the same time, it was built that way because that was what you see is the same trade-off that her and Bill made. Because instead of her coming out and talking about her grievances, she sat back and just took the power. She used the power struggle to put her to advance herself. And so that's what we look at as far as anything is that she
would have had a better time if we had saw emotion, if we had saw that, because she still became a representative in New York, a senator in New York, Secretary of State, and for Obama, we would have been like, yo, we still remember when she popped off on Bill,
right?
When she got mad at Bill, when she stood up for herself.
But she can still try to be elected for presidency.
Nobody wants to see it though.
No, exactly. Because
never know.
Because that's what the Benghazi thing. If you think about it, like if she was a little bit more passionate about the job, I think that would have. She would have been hands down. She'd have been president. Yeah. But something like that, like if you don't care about what's going on in your personal life. What makes us feel like you care about what's going on with the rest of us? Like, your husband cheated on you.
I feel you on that.
You walk around like this ain't like nothing happened. We all know.
Right.
We
the entire nation
the
knows.
Chick wrote a book. Like, we all know this, and you still sitting there hushing out.
She's still in the public eye. She make about $1 million a year.
Off of sucking the president?
Off of sucking.
Yeah.
And you still hush mouth about it.
She was making.
You thought you was finna parlay that in the presidency and played it wrong because you thought we was all gonna say, "Oh, well, we just gonna," cause you no.
She was making. Lewinsky was making books, purses.
There's
and we care about
other
her.
things named
we
after
care about her more than we do. Like when you see Monica Lewinsky, you're like, yo, she kind of funny.
Yeah, but I'll tell you like that. I'll put it to you like this. Monica Lewinsky is almost more famous than Superhead.
Definitely.
And I'll tell you why. It's because, and Lord forgive me, but you don't never reference oral sex to Superhead, but you will to Lewinsky. You feel me?
I was just gonna say, and named after other things.
You feel me? She be, like if you ever go on Twitter, she be on there cracking jokes about it. Like they was like,
I died down with the Lewinsky after a couple years of it in the book and then all that. I just let it go. I don't think she should be famous for sucking the president's dick.
Well, that's the thing.
Because
she parlayed it into like a part of being bullied. So she speaks on being bullied, anti-bullying campaigns and whatnot, and she parlayed that into jobs, into
oh
spelking.
My God, I got bullied from sucking the president.
Yeah, and that's like.
I mean, that's some game right there. She's obviously making money off of it, but
and if you throw in some jokes online, like if she was on Twitter, it was like, what's the worst part of being an intern? And she chimed in. It was like a thread on Twitter.
Having to suck your boss up?
No, she said. She said, what did she say? She was like, let me tell you. That's all her tweet was. And she won. Everybody was like, yo, she won the whole thread. Because it was like, we already know. We all know, yeah.
That's weak. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's weak. Like, and I don't condone that because I don't condone Cardi B being famous for being a stripper. Like, I don't condone that. So I'm not going to condone I could condone the black chick for being famous for shaking her ass, and I'm not gonna condone the white chick for being famous for putting her mouth on a famous person's organ.
Well, Cardi
you know, because if she should be famous, then whichever chick licked the rapper Lil Wayne like a lollipop should be famous too. Okay, if that's the case, she licked him like a lollipop, she should be famous too. That's all I'm saying. So whoever that girl is that licked it like a lollipop, or whoever them girls are, many of them. I mean, he got 20 baby mamas. You know, hey.
Lil Wayne do?
Shit, yeah.
I thought he only had 2 or 3.
No, he got like 7.
Really?
Yeah,
I
Lil
didn't know
Wayne
he
got
had
like
them.
7 kids.
I didn't know that.
There's a lot of
Big
kids that he don't talk about. No, they only talk about they only talk about Reginae, her mom, and they only talk about Laura London because they're famous. But he got like Indian baby mama. I believe he got like a Korean or something like that baby mama.
Isn't he married to a white chick right now?
I don't know, but Lil Wayne got mad kids. Like people don't. There's one point where he got like 7 kids. Like,
dang, I didn't know that. We about to get out of here. Kendra's about to bounce, so we about to log off for today. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. See y'all next time. Peace.